Osama bin Laden, the Al-Qaeda leader, widely thought the mastermind behind 9/11, is dead.
Osama bin Laden is dead.
Well, the most wanted terrorist in the world is now dead.
Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, is dead.
On May 2nd, 2011, the world's most wanted man was killed in a daring nighttime raid, but his shadow still haunts us. It's 1998. A young journalist in a remote Afghan cave sits face-to-face with a tall, soft-spoken man who calmly declares war on the United States. That man was Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the deadliest terrorist attack in modern history. But how did a wealthy Saudi businessman become the architect of global terror? Today, we're diving deep into the history of Osama bin Laden, his rise, his ideology, and his lasting impact.
Hit that subscribe button and let's unravel the life of the man who reshaped the 21st century.
Osama bin Laden was born in 1957 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. His father, Mohammed bin Laden, was a construction magnate who built much of Saudi Arabia's infrastructure, amassing a fortune estimated at $5 billion in today's dollars. Osama was the 17th of 52 children, raised in privilege but surrounded by strict religious values. Growing up in Jeddah, Osama was described as shy and studious. He attended elite schools, including Al-Thagar Model School, where he excelled in Islamic studies.
The gravity of the situation could not be imagined, the minarets echoing with the sounds of gunfire.
Saudi Arabia in the 1970s was a hotbed of religious awakening. The 1979 Iranian Revolution and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan radicalized many young Muslims, including Osama. By his late teens, he was attending lectures by radical clerics, setting the stage for his transformation. At King Abdulaziz University, Osama studied economics but was more captivated by jihadist ideology. In 1979, when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the 22-year-old saw his calling. The Soviet-Afghan War of 1979 to 1989 was a turning point. Osama arrived in Pakistan in 1980, using his family's wealth to fund the Mujahideen Islamic fighters resisting Soviet occupation. By 1984, he co-founded Maktab al-Qidamat, MAK, a recruitment and fundraising network for jihadists. Declassified CIA reports shows MAK funneled over $600 million to the Mujahideen, much of it from Saudi donors like bin Laden. He wasn't just a financier, he fought alongside the Mujahideen. A 1986 battle in Jaji, where he led a small group against Soviet forces, cemented his reputation. Osama met Ayman al-Zawahiri. Zawahiri's vision of global jihad would shape bin Laden's future.
Today, as the commander of Soviet troops followed the last of his men across the border, leaving the communist Afghan regime alone.
When the Soviets withdrew in 1989, bin Laden returned to Saudi Arabia as a hero, but disillusioned with the Saudi monarchy and ready to take jihad global. In 1988, he founded Al-Qaeda to wage war on the West.
Very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
The 1990s were a dark evolution for bin Laden. Back in Saudi Arabia, he was outraged when the monarchy allowed U.S. troops to station there during the Gulf War. To him, it was a desecration of Holy Land. Exiled in 1992, he moved to Sudan, where he built Al-Qaeda's infrastructure training camps, businesses, and a global network. Declassified U.S. intelligence estimates that by 1996, Al-Qaeda had trained over 10,000 fighters in camps across Sudan and Afghanistan. In 1996, bin Laden issued his first fatwa, calling for attacks on U.S. military targets. 2 years later, he escalated with a second fatwa, declaring war on all Americans, civilians included. His reasoning? U.S. support for Israel, sanctions on Iraq, and military presence in the Middle East. These weren't just words, Al-Qaeda was already acting. The 1998 U.S. embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania killed 224 people, including 12 Americans, and injured over 4,500. The FBI placed bin Laden on its 10 most wanted list with a $5 million bounty, but bin Laden's ambition was bigger. By 2000, Al-Qaeda was planning its most audacious attack. The plot, orchestrated by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, involved 19 hijackers, years of training, and an estimated $500,000 in funding. On that fateful day, 4 planes became weapons, killing 2,977 people and injuring over 6,000. The economic cost? Over $2 trillion, according to a 2011 New York Times estimate. 9/11 wasn't just an attack, it was a global wake-up call. Bin Laden became public enemy number 1, and the US launched the war on terror. But where was he? After 9/11, bin Laden vanished into the mountains of Tora Bora, Afghanistan. The US invasion in October 2001 dismantled Al-Qaeda's bases, but bin Laden slipped away, likely into Pakistan. For a decade, the CIA hunted him, analyzing every lead. Declassified documents reveal the US spent over $1 trillion on the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, partly to capture him. Bin Laden wasn't silent. He released videos, taunting the West and inspiring new attacks like the 2004 Madrid bombings, 191 dead, and the 2005 London bombings, 52 dead. Meanwhile, he lived in plain sight. In 2005, he settled in a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, just a mile from a military academy. The 3-story house, valued at $1 million, had no internet or phone lines, suspicious for a man hiding from the world's most advanced intelligence agencies. In 2010, the CIA tracked a courier, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, to the compound. After months of surveillance, President Obama authorized Operation Neptune Spear. On May 2, 2011, SEAL Team 6 stormed the compound. In a 40-minute raid, bin Laden was killed with 2 shots to the chest and head. He was 54. DNA tests confirmed his identity, and his body was buried at sea within 24 hours. The world rejoiced, but was it the end? Osama bin Laden's death was a blow to Al-Qaeda, but his legacy endures. Al-Qaeda's affiliates, like Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram, continue attacks across Africa and the Middle East. The Islamic State, ISIS, born from Al-Qaeda's ideology, killed over 1,700 people in attacks from 2014 to 2019, according to the Global Terrorism Database. Bin Laden's vision of global jihad still inspires lone wolf attackers, from the 2015 Paris attacks to the 2019 Christchurch shooting. Data tells a stark story. The US spent $6 trillion on the war on terror from 2001 to 2020, per Brown University's Costs of War project. Over 800,000 people died in related conflicts, including 335,000 civilians. Airport security, surveillance laws, and global counterterrorism measures all trace back to bin Laden's actions. His life reshaped geopolitics, from the Patriot Act to drone warfare. But there's another side. Bin Laden's ideology exploited real grievances: poverty, Western interventions, and corruption in the Muslim world. Understanding this doesn't excuse his actions, but explains why his message resonated. The fight against terrorism isn't just about guns, it's about addressing root causes. Osama bin Laden was a man of contradictions. A privileged son turned warlord, a soft-spoken poet turned mass murderer. His life shows how one person can change history, for better or worse. As we move forward, let's remember the cost of hatred and the power of resilience. What do you think? Did bin Laden's death end the threat, or is his shadow still with us? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if this deep dive gripped you, and subscribe for more stories that unpack the world's biggest moments. Share this video to spark a conversation. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.